dig my roots deeper. All right, hello, and welcome to what is normally the weekly Wednesday Warble. Once again, I'm not really here. I will be in town getting some color put into my tattoo. I've been waiting to get an appointment since October, and now it's the end of May, and a cancellation came up, so I took it. So in the meantime, I'm going to play through my EP Vagarys, which I put out in 2020, and I think it's 5 songs, so I'm doing 5 songs today, and they all came out of songwriting prompts. And this first one, some of them were prompts from the Toronto Songwriting School songwriting calendar, which I buy every year, and it's got a monthly prompt. And some of them are from the Song Fancy 5-song and 5-day songwriting challenge. So this one came from the calendar, and the prompt was, what would you do if you were rich and famous? And I initially thought, I don't want to write a song about that. But then I thought about how recently I'd been trying to do this experiment where I vacuumed every day. Like, just see what would the house be like if I just actually vacuumed every single day. But I kept forgetting to do the experiment. And my husband said, oh, maybe what we should do is we could hire some actors, and they could come in and they could like pantomime vacuuming. And then whenever you see them doing the pantomime, you'd remember to vacuum. And so we'd sort of just had that conversation, and I was like, oh, I guess if I was filthy rich, that's the type of thing I would spend my money on. So this song came out of it. It's called Patron of the Arts. Hello, Rolling Stone. Welcome to my island lair. I built it round a hot spring. Please hang your own coat. Hiring servants just seem too weird, apart from 2 ladies in waiting to help me brush my hair. And I hope you'll excuse the mess, I'm a little absent-minded. So I hired a pantomime troupe to reenact the housework, so I'll remember to do it, but it's their week off. My cooking skills are basic at best, though I employ several painters to come every day to capture lunch and dinner and oil. And on Sunday it's a sculptor you'll see last week at the Louvre. Are you wondering about the dance troupe? Well, I don't always find it easy to get my point across so the dancers will interpret my mood and then express it. That way things are clear. And I hope you'll enjoy your time here, and I hope you'll put me in a good light, 'cause I'm the wealthiest. What am I? I'm the wealthiest, the strangest, indeed the most infamous patron of the arts. I see you'd like to know all about my daily routine, how I begin every morning. Well, each day starts at 6. A string quartet sits next to my bed and plays some Shostakovich to remind me life is good. Then it's down to my gym to work out. No, there's no personal trainer, just a roster of heavy metal bands, various subgenres, depending on the workout, and shower, breakfast, work. after lunch. It's time to deal with email and calls and all communication. Now on the payroll, I've got the perfect trio to help: a composer and a poet and a leader soprano. And I let them take care of all that while I go about my dailies. What's that? Yes, it's a fact, I did make all this money writing silly folk songs. What makes you question that? And I hope you enjoy your time here, and I hope you put me in a good light, 'cause I'm the wealthiest, the strangest, indeed the most infamous patron of the arts. I can tell you're confused. That's the Greek chorus I hired to keep me on the straight and narrow. I don't know what I did before I had them follow me around. Now I remember what I'm doing when I move from room to room. Well, that's all our time for today. You can see yourself out. Just head through the menagerie. There you'll find the boatman. He'll take you to the city. Yeah, I know he's a bit creepy, but that's what I pay him for. And I hope you enjoyed your time here, and I hope you'll put me in a good light, 'cause I'm the wealthiest, the strangest, most selfish and outrageous patron of the arts. All right, there we go. There we have it. There we have it, patron of the arts. What do I do here? I think I will keep everything the way I like to keep it. So the next song, I just have to look up what the next song on the album is. Also, all the lyrics are up on my my Bandcamp page if you wanna see the lyrics. All right. Curmudgeon is next. So this came out of this also came from the songwriting calendar, and it was just simply write a song about a curmudgeon. And I had written, you have a month, it's a monthly prompt, and I'd spent the month kind of plucking away on it, and I'd had different ideas and different ways to take it. I had some starts and some stops, and I had a song half written. And it was, 2 days before the end of the month, and I sat down and I wasn't happy with my song, so I threw it all away and I just wrote this. So here we go, Curmudgeon. And this one, this one is in pretty regular rotation. If you see me live, it's a good chance I'll pull this one out. Seriously when they go around dressed like that. And what's with this newfangled product? Looks like a pile of bull. How can anyone think they need this? How did he make it to the shelves? Well, you may call me a hater and think I'm set in my ways, but I won't go with the flow, 'cause I think it's going over some rocky cliffs ahead. What if you're all swept over? What are you gonna do then? Bet you're gonna wish you'd been a little grumpier. Wish you'd been a curmudgeon. This don't hold a candle to yesterday's sound, the classics of 2015. And what's with these gadgets and gadgets and new ways of looking at things? Humanity was perfect when I was 35. It's all been downhill since then. Well, you may call me a hater and think I'm set in my ways, but I won't go with the flow, cause I think it's going over some rocky cliffs ahead. What if you're all swept over? What are you gonna do then? Bet you're gonna wish you'd been a little grumpier. Wish you'd been a curmudgeon. They all called me a hater. See what happened to them? Well, I had the last laugh, but I'm laughing all alone. There we go. There we go. There's curmudgeon. So the next one on the list is, yes, it is Blind Date. And this is the only song on this EP that I don't do very often, and there's no reason for that. It's just, I think it's a fun song, and I keep meaning to make sure my camera isn't fuzzy. Oh, it did it itself. Good job. Good job, camera. So this also came out of the calendar, and the prompt was, oh, what was the prompt? Because it was a first date. Write a song about a first date was the prompt. And so I, at that time, I was living in Montreal, and so I worked out of, I rented a studio, and so it was about a 20-minute walk from my house, and I would walk to my studio in the morning, and often, by the time I got to my studio, I'd have, like, lyrics in my head to get down. So anyway, I had this prompt in my head, and I was like, okay, I got my 20 minutes, I'm going to walk to the studio and think about what I'm doing. And I had all sorts of ideas. Like, I think my very first idea was I wanted to write a historical song about, like, Abelard and Heloise. But anyway, and by the time 20 minutes had passed, I think the first line of the first chorus is the first thing that got in my head. So I had this chorus line in my head, and I just like kept singing it over because I was walking. So I was like, okay, well, I don't want to lose this idea. So I just kept it over and over in my head. And when I got to the jam space, I wrote it down. And I think I wrote the chorus that day. And then the next day I wrote the verse. And then I went to put them together and discovered that I'd written them in two completely different keys. So I was like, well, am I going to change keys? That's something I do. But I found I liked the flow of the song better if I put them in the same key. But I ended up having to bring one of the parts quite down low, so it ended up being really low in my register, but I liked the way it sounded. But anyway, I went from first date to a blind date, which obviously a blind date would also be a first date. And this is not, I've never been on a blind date. So this is not, this isn't from any experience. It's just kind of that weird thing, like, you meet someone on a blind date and like in an hour you have to decide if you might want to spend the rest of your life with this person. So that's what this song is about. Sits my date wearing a silly hat. Like they said, there sits an individual, can be counted on to follow through with what they say. I introduce myself and sit, and the conversation carries on fluidly. Everything's starting out so well, it's all starting out so well. But that taste in music is questionable. I'm not convinced we even saw the same film. We disagree about the fountainhead. Is that a deal breaker? They are polite to all the staff. Here's a person with integrity, confidence. Their table manners are just fine. Nothing fancy, nothing from a barn. Thankfully, they seem genuinely concerned that I find enjoyment in my meal. It's so sweet, but as the the evening carries on, as the evening carries on. Our diets and hobbies don't seem compatible. They like the morning and I'm a night owl. It's not clear we share many values at all. Ain't that a deal breaker? Too negative. The evening nears its end and I'm quite surprised to be asked back to theirs for a drink. An invitation I accept because you never know where things might lead. And at the very least, the sex might be good. All right, Blind Date. I really need to get that one back into rotation. All right, so we've got two songs next, and the next two songs on the album came from the song Fancy 5 and 5, and this is the only one. There's 5 songs. This came out, I put this out in December of 2020, and 4 of the 5 songs were written before I started streaming on Twitch, but this one I wrote live on my Twitch channel. And this one's a little unusual in that I wrote the lyrics first, which is not, usually I write simultaneously, but this one I wrote the lyrics first and then put music to it. And I've done that a couple times, and I like doing that because you write things differently when you do things that way. But I wrote this was still early, this would have been in the summer of 2020, and so this was a song that I wrote thinking about Nova Scotia. In 2019 I had played a folk festival in Nova Scotia and discovered, it was my first time south of Halifax, and I hadn't known that southern Nova Scotia is filled with beautiful sandy beaches that you can like wade out into and swim in. We don't have those in Newfoundland, and we certainly don't have those in Montreal. Actually, it turns out there was a sandy beach in downtown Montreal, and I never went because you had to pay to get onto the beach, and I didn't understand that. And now I'm like, gee, I could have been going to the beach all the time in Montreal. But my brain didn't compute paying to go to a beach. Anyway, in Montreal, when I should have paid to go to the beach because it was so hot, I was stuck in my hot apartment because it was like 40 degrees Celsius in Montreal in the summer. It's awful. And I started thinking about the beaches of Nova Scotia and not the beaches of Newfoundland. Can't go swimming in the beaches of Newfoundland, but you can go swimming in the beaches of Nova Scotia. And so I thought about my time there the summer before and wrote this song. Also on the album, I recorded it on my classical guitar, but in the last year I got this 12 string, and I found that this song works really nicely on the 12 string. And I tuned my 12 string down. The 12 string is tuned to D standard because I'm kind of afraid of steel strings. So I tune it down so I don't have to turn them so much. So it's a little bit lower, but I think it still works. Warm sun, bare skin, braced for cold. Shocking pleasure of immersion. Plant my toes, grip the sand, extend my arms, caress the Gentle, gentle are the waves. The big spray hits when I'm not looking, takes advantage of my lapse, scoops my body up and slams my insignificant form down. Down to drag along the bottom, dislodging snails and habitations. Hair like netting catches seaweed, tangles around my face and throat. Choking salt, spitting liquid, I'm ejected, used, exhausted. Bobbing like the wooden treasure. Shaped, softened, and displaced by the ocean. There we go. I have on the album version, well, my husband plays drums on the whole album, and I got him to do these real like cymbal decays on that one. I quite like the album version. All right, so we're at the last song, and this came from the very first Song Fancy 5 song in 5-day challenge that I took part in, which would have been December of 2019. And the prompt, so it's 5 days, you sign up, and so every morning you get this email with the prompt. And my habit was that we would wake up in the morning, and while sitting in bed, I'd open my laptop and look at the prompt and kind of think about it, and then I'd walk to my studio and work on it. And that's how I did that week. And so this morning I woke up and I looked at the prompt, and the prompt was under the label. So anyway, I kind of sit in bed and talked about it with my husband in the morning. And I don't remember which one of us came up with it, but it was just like, oh, you could take it really, I think he was like, you could take it really literally and write about a recipe under a label. And it very quickly, I'm not sure how it so quickly turned into like, oh, okay, like why would you be making a recipe for a party? Well, what if it's a party of adventurers? So that's how we had this little conversation in the morning, and then I was like, okay, I've got the idea, and I went up to my jam space and wrote this quite quickly, as I recall. Well, it was in a day. They were all these. The Wave, I took several days to write it, so it wasn't like. But that first, the 5 and 5 challenge is you write the song each day, you write a full song each day. And over the years, because I've been doing it ever since, sometimes I don't really partake, or I'll pop in and I'll see a prompt and I'll work on it, or I'll start a song but I won't finish it, and I'll finish it later. And I think that's how The Wave ended up getting written. But this song, that first 5 and 5, I took it to heart. So I went and I wrote this in a day. And I liked it enough that I recorded it. We should have had a lovely time, a pleasant evening shared with friends around the table gathered for a meal. We set the places all so nicely, matching linens, place cards too. I was so looking forward to the night. But no, instead we're here in this cave. I planned a dinner party, now we're a party of adventurers. I was prepared to face a mountain of dishes, now I'm facing certain doom. And as I gaze upon the gaping maw of death, I ask, whatever possessed me to look under the label on the can of condensed milk? The recipe it promised turned out to be a spell, and the magic baking powder was must have lived up to its name. We didn't open up the oven, we opened up the gate. By now our guests had all arrived, and in the kitchen did converge. The wine was set to breathing for our meal. The food was all prepared, only one thing left to go. When the timer rang, I beamed, the dessert. But no, instead we're here in this cave. How did my dinner party become a party of adventurers? I was prepared to seek out the finest vintage. Now I seek some magic sword, and as I gaze upon the teeth that could be swords, I ask, whatever possessed me to look under the label on the can, condensed milk. The recipe it promised turned out to be a spell, and the magic baking powder must have lived up to its name. We didn't open up the oven, we opened up the gate. They all look to me like I'm some chosen one to lead us through this maze, return us to our homes. With only oven mitts, craft beer apron for armor, I fear that we are destined not to have but to be dinner. And I wish I'd read less novels and spent more time at the gym. And as I'm slipping down the gullet, doom I ask, whatever possessed me to look under the label on the can of condensed milk. The recipe it promised turned out to be a spell, and the magic baking powder must have lived up to its name. We didn't open up the oven, we opened up the gate. We didn't open up the oven, we opened up the gate. There we go, under the label, and there we have it. That's my Vagarys EP, start to finish. And I'm fuzzy again. Stop being so fuzzy, camera. All right. Boop, 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 boop. I felt like there was something else I wanted to say about that, but now I've forgotten. We've moved on. So I thank you for joining me here today for this, what is normally the weekly Wednesday Warble. But I kind of liked revisiting these releases these weeks that I've been away. So next week I will be back for the regular weekly Wednesday Warble. I will be live. We will be doing the 10 songs about the color pink. And I hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Take care.